Hello, hello, hello. Today, I want to talk about something really, really personal, and vulnerable for sure. It's something that I know a lot of people are dealing with and struggling with, and it's something that, again, it's personal and vulnerable because it's something that I really have struggled with and had to figure out how to just kind of like use the tools and techniques that I have to move past it. So it's what it's like living with an invisible illness and how it really shapes your mental and emotional health and the limiting beliefs that come with this. I have a chronic illness, and when you look at me at first glance, you'd never know it. You'd never guess it. You may never even see it until I truly get sick. Even people living with diabetes, okay? And if they are functioning in their day to day, you never know. Lupus, so many illnesses that people deal with on a day to day. And then again, like there's those mental impairments where it's like people never know that people are silently struggling every single moment of their life. Again, per usual, I have a script and I'm going off it. And the reason is just because this is something that touches my heart very deeply. And it's specifically because as a person with a chronic illness, I've had to live with a lot of insensitivity and being misunderstood. And I know how many other people, how many friends I have, how many, clients that I work with who are like experiencing extremely low self-esteem every single day of their life or trying to meet standards that don't apply to them. And it's because, yes, in school, kids have IEPs, they have 504 plans based on what they're dealing with. But in real life, we don't have IEP plans. We don't have 504 plans. There's no leveling the playing field in real life. And so you go about day to day life trying to reach these goals, trying to achieve these standards, simply because it's like nobody gives actual grace or compassion. At the same time, though, it's no one's fault per se because one single person who is insensitive, they're not meaning to be insensitive. They're just going about the way that this system that we are living in is designed. So that's, kind of just my tangent there. Let me try to get back onto it. I've lived with an autoimmune condition my whole life. I've had over 20 pneumonias. I have had to learn how to advocate for myself in hospitals. I have walked up to an emergency room looking as I am right now. Okay, just tripped over my dog. Looking as I am right now. And for them to say, okay, sit over there," without them even asking me a question. Okay. And I get it. The emergencies room's busy. There are people who you can tell are struggling. And I get it. For them to come over, take my oxygen, take my temperature, to be like, whoa, get this girl to the back now. She's barely breathing. After I just sat there for an hour and a half waiting, simply because you couldn't see on my face that something was wrong. Hmm. Hmm. Again, I try not to get angry at the person because we are not trained to look deeper unless we have experienced it, what's called empathy. We're not always trained in that manner. So we have to either train ourselves or train your kids, right? So that's that part of it. So, day to day, that looked like for me saying no to plans because I was so tired, then feeling guilty like a bad friend. And I've been, I didn't just feel guilty all the time because I was changing plans, but I have been like, I've had friends say things to me because I have to switch plans up. They'll be like, you're wishy washy, you're this, that, and the other thing. I just got to this place like few years ago where I will text back real quick. I have pneumonia. Do you want to come over and catch it? Just wondering. Just wondering. Or sending like legitimately disgusting pictures so that they can see like, hey, that's not a kind thing to say. at all. Believe me, I don't want to be here right now. I'd love to be where you are. Well, at this point, those people are no longer my friends, most likely, unless they've apologized. But it's the point of like, hey, come on now. I'm pushing myself harder than I should, right? Because I don't want to be seen as lazy. So even now to this day, like if I go into a full-time job, I will literally get sick within a matter of sometimes even days. The only job that I have been able to hold for an entire year is teaching. And it's because although you would think it puts so much stress on your body and all the germs and everything like that, it does not, right? And I have a friend who's like that too. Rather, they have diabetes, but just that specific thing, it's easier. It's so much easier. And so the cortisol stress response isn't killing your immune system. Um, but there have been so many times where I ignore that. I ignore that part of my body. I'm not modest in that way. And I'll just work and work and work and work and work and then get sick, end up in the hospital just so that I'm not seen as lazy, just so I'm not seen as broke, just so I'm not seen as this. And it's like, no, stop. I need to build systems for myself that actually that my body appreciates and can handle. I am not the same 29-year-old that you are. Another thing that I've been told quite a bit, and I'm sure if you have an invisible illness, physically or mentally, you've been told the same thing, where people are like, oh, well, I did it. I walked through the snowstorm and I've walked in 179-degree heat just so that I could make it. You can do it too. Comparison's a thief, baby. Comparison's a thief. Waking up anxious, wondering, oh my God, am I going to get sick today? Watching other people live normal and thinking I'll never be like them. It sucks. It's all so difficult. And now this is where it really all connects to mental health. When you repeat those beliefs over and over again that other people have created. Now that part I want to make sure is instilled that it's not that you have created the beliefs inside of yourself. It's not that I've created the beliefs inside of myself. Rather, what it is that it's time to break out of that. And like I said before, creating a system and a structure that's going to work best for you and your brain and your body, and understanding that some people are just not going to understand it. But I get how hard it is to move past those things. And I've seen all the Instagrams and all the posts on how you just got to move forward. What people say shouldn't matter. They do. Your mindset is quite literally everything to how you move forward. If your mindset, your emotional health isn't good due to the beliefs and comparison and the self-esteem issues, it's going to be difficult. And so it's how do I now rewire those things to become the best that, I can be. And so I'm not in this survival mode, so that I'm not having that inner critic telling me all the time, like, you'll never measure up, saying, I'll never measure up. I'll never be consistent. I'll never be able to get through life because I have to meet these specific standards. Absolutely not. That creates a cycle. It creates beliefs. It fuels unhealthy behaviors, and it's exhausting. It's left me anxious, depressed, questioning if I even wanted to live. So eventually, going back to unlearning those belief systems, these belief systems are not unchangeable. One of my favorite things about the brain, and actually this point of neuroplasticity, is scriptural. The Bible tells us that we can strip off the old personality and put on the new personality. And well, we were designed for that purpose. That's where neuroplasticity and neurogenesis really comes into it. Our brain can rewire itself within just moments, seconds of us using the intentional tools and techniques to regulate. So, one of the things I really dug into when I was, okay, it's time for me to make a shift, was the amygdala. This was the first thing that helped me to fall in love with the brain, was the amygdala. This was the first part of the brain that I really learned in depth. It's really helped me to grasp the concept of this is not your fault. Your brain is sending signals of distress of cortisol, keeping you in a fight or flight. So much of that fight or flight and so many of these belief systems are based on trauma, bad experiences. They are conditioned, and your brain is trying to protect you. Once I got that concept, I was like, whoa, my brain is driving the car. Now, how do I help my brain? I've had clients who said, that doesn't make sense. My brain is me. There's a back to the brain and there's a front of the brain. The amygdala is essentially part of the back of the brain. It's subconscious. Our lives can be ran by subconscious belief systems, or our lives can be ran by conscious belief systems. So when that emotional brain is driving the car, then those conscious thought patterns are not running the show. Rather, our survival brain is running the show. And so that's what that means by when the brain is driving the car. It's not our mindset or our conscious awareness driving the car. And so that's where we kind of have to make that flip and that switch. So, I just kind of talked about what that looked like for me. And so what I had to do was I had to start decoding, start saying, okay, which of my essential needs, which I talk about in another video, is actually off here. Most of the time for me, it was stability and value and acceptance. So I basically had to say, what conditioned belief systems do I have that are keeping my body and my brain from feeling unstable? And this is neurological too. They're actual pathways that connect to that emotional need of acceptance. And so when we are taught acceptance or we're taught it in an unhealthy way, it can create conditioned belief systems that force our brain to drive on a different route or a different pathway than we really need it to drive in order for us to be capable of living life without shame, without feeling like the things that I was told when I was bullied have to run my life. There's a certain pathway that works with that, right? And so that's where we have to kind of say, like, okay, what is going on here? What is this belief system that has to do with that essential need of acceptance? And how do I rewire it? How do I change it? And so for me, I use journaling, I use affirmations, I use amygdala balances, which is a tool to help you really rewire that from the root. It's a form of CBT. Then there's also using things like inner child healing scripts, right? Like really talking to that inner child, reparenting on that deeper level. So important. And that's basically challenge it. Challenge the thought, get rid of it. And that helps to transform it. And the more you practice it, the more those old beliefs of like, I have to do it this way. My life will always look different than everyone else's. I can't acknowledge my needs because my needs have never been a priority. All of those things can transform in minutes. So, yeah, it's incredible what the brain can do. And I always just have to kind of take a minute to just, wowzers, that's crazy. It's amazing, amazingly crazy. Every single time we challenge those things, we fix pieces of ourself. We are never going to be able to fix our whole self on our own ever. But we need that higher power, God. But what we can do is we can help ourselves to feel as regulated and safe as possible and just begin to heal those wounds one layer at a time. Stop living in guilt, stop living in shame. So if you're living with an invisible illness, this is for you. And I want you to know that you're not broken, you're not weak, you are healable, you are safe, and you also can figure out the lifestyle that works best for you, and you can create it. You can. You can create it. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. You are so, so capable. Thanks for spending time with me today. And just remember that I love you. Bye.